saying I ain't gonna lie, he just pulled out the paper and I just signed the shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like immediately.
So was it no lawyer, no shit, no nothing?
Nah. The nigga who bought me to him, he was like, yo man, just sign that shit. You bugging. I'm like, yeah, read it. He like, he just signed it. It's good. So I just signed it.
And was it advance anything? It was just like
the advance $5,000.
5,000?
Yeah.
Who? He signed you for 5,000. That's all the nigga gave you.
That's all. Yeah. 5,000 was a lot. 5,000 hit when that shit. You know what I'm saying? That shit hit.
That's the same thing Nori said.
And I thought that shit was gonna last till whenever that shit was gonna last till. That shit ain't last
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Word.
And listen, but how long was the contract? You still had your rights?
I'm still in the contract right now. You know what I'm saying? You know, Mase know the business. You know what I'm saying? He really know the business a lot. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't know nothing. I just was signing. He was like, yo, he was like kind of fake trying to explain it to me. Like, yo, you get to keep this. I get 30% of this. So I was like, all right, whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? What I'm like, what we gonna do? You know what I'm saying? He like, you know, he a smooth talking nigga. So he like, yo, who you wanna do a song with? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, G Herbo. He like, I got you. You know what I'm saying?
Damn, hold the fuck up.
Did you ever do the song with G Herbo?
Nah, I never got a song with you. I got a song with G Herbo now.
Yeah, off of your own name.
Yeah. It just came out like 2 weeks ago.
The King's back. Thank y'all once again for tuning in to the one and only Blake Check. It's King Blake checking in with y'all with more content for your head top. Now listen, let's get into it. So, the last couple of days, Fivio Foreign's interview on $1 Million Worth of Game has gone viral, particularly a clip where he was talking about a deal that he signed with Mase before he blew up, before he had Big Drip, and I think he just only had Blicky in the Box out making noise at the time. He signed a deal with Mase that was a production deal, and he talked about how Mase gave him a $5,000 advance for the production deal, and how, you know, the way the internet is spinning it is like, wow, Mase gave Fivio a predatory type of deal, and he's the same dude who's been complaining for the last few years how Diddy did him on the deal. Which, if you look at it from that perspective, fair enough, right? You can understand that. But as somebody who fancies himself as a bit of a journalist, I always do a little bit of research and a little bit of digging whenever I hear things that seem like they might be a little bit off. And while I was listening to this clip, I remembered that Fivio told this story before. Yeah, this exact same story about Mase signing him for $5,000. He told on Kitchen Talk with Mano.
Yeah. He reached out.
How did that happen?
What happened was I had this song with Blicky in the Box with JD and D-Side, right? So JD had an uncle, I forgot his name, but his uncle knew Mase from somewhere, right? And Mase was like, yo, I'm trying to look for artists, so I think he went to go sign JD first. But the song was hot. This was so the song even had 1 million views. So this is why I really didn't get signed so fast. Like the song had like 500,000 views, but it was lit in Brooklyn. It was like Brooklyn Drill was lit in Brooklyn. And then he was like, yo, I want to sign all of y'all. I could take y'all to the moon. I get you any feature you want, who you want to be. I'm like, I want a song with G Herbo. That's what I kept telling him. I want a song with G Herbo.
Right.
And he was like, all right, look, sign this shit right here. And then he gave the uncle, the JD uncle, I signed for $5,000.
Right.
He gave him the my money, he disappeared.
So JD
I never got the uncle. I never got the money. He disappeared with everybody's money. JD never swore him again. Nobody swore him again.
He got $10,000 and just
Yeah, he got low.
And you never got the money, right? Mm-hmm. He disappeared. Now you stuck in a contract with Mase.
Yeah, now I'm in a contract with Mase.
And it was $5,000?
$5,000.
I can't believe that. Like, to think. Like,
crazy, right?
From $5,000 now you got songs with like Drake and
It's crazy, right? I ain't know.
That's life.
I ain't know no better.
What what happens next? Because now you probably at a point where you feel like, man, damn, I could have used that money.
Nah, I was sick. I was tight. I was ready to go find a nigga, but he really disappeared. He real life disappeared. And then I told Mase. Mase was like, yo, I don't know if y'all running some type of Brooklyn cap scam on me. And acting like he ran off with the money. Mase ain't really believe it. He ain't really believe it. Wow. So, but he tried to do his ones and twos, flew me to Atlanta a couple times. I recorded mad songs with him. But it ain't really, I told me a couple things, but like, I wasn't seeing him that much. I thought I was supposed to see him more. I was mad at him. Everybody around was like,
did
yo,
he get
Mase
you the features that you was looking for?
Nah, he never got me that G Herbo song.
That's all I wanted.
Wow.
Right? And now, this is why I gotta go from calling him Fivio Foreign to Fivio Fables. Because we're dealing with a guy now whose credibility is a little bit shaky when it comes to telling the truth. So originally, around the time Big Drip dropped, Fivio Foreign was making his rounds, doing interviews, and he went viral at one point because he was asked about his age, and he was a little bit skittish about giving up his real age. I think he was 30 at the time and still trying to portray himself to be in his 20s is how the internet interpreted him acting funny whenever he was asked about his age. So when you have that, and then you take this situation where he's telling the same story, but with two complete different narratives of how the story went, you gotta ask yourself, what's up with this? Like, where's the truth at, right? Because Fivio Fables is telling us on one hand that he got the $5,000 and it lasted him for about 2 weeks. And then on the other hand, with Mano, he's telling us JD Uncle got him to sign the deal and he ran off with their money. He ran off with $10,000, five due to him and JD, and he skipped town with $10,000. So it's like, all right, this is a little funny. Did you get the money and spend it? Or did you never get the money at all and got jerked? Right? Because it can't be both ways. So one of those stories is a flat out lie. Now, the next thing I wanted to address was the production deal. Mase didn't sign him to a regular record deal. He signed him to a production deal. And, for those who aren't as familiar with the record industry, let me give you a little back information on how these things work out. Okay, so we have to first look at it. What is a production agreement? A production agreement is when production companies, and I got this from medium.com, y'all can pull it up yourselves. A production agreement is when production companies are usually a few individuals with some resources and connections who would like to finance the production of records for an artist, right? In order to shop them to major record labels. What ends up happening is the production agreements that some people download or get from attorneys look like label agreements more than they do production agreements. They end up being long-term deals without a real incentive to shop an artist, thus trying to tying up their intellectual property and the future for an artist. It is key that if you are an artist signing a production deal, limit the option periods, keep the income split better than 50-50 in your favor, and fight against any 360 provisions designed in the deal. Okay, so now, the purpose of the production agreement is to get shopped and eventually signed to a major record label. It is not being tied in long term to an independent situation unless the independent production company develops into a more established entity, and so on and so forth. So what you basically have to get the understanding of is Mase advanced him $5,000, and in that $5,000 advance that he gave him, that's just for your pocket. If anybody understands investments, if you understand stocks and bonds and real estate, Mase took on all of the risks financing the dreams of Fivio Foreign, and it was more than just Fivio and JD. It was Fivio Foreign, JD, and D-Sav. Mase took on all of those financial obligations that come along with being an upcoming rapper, which is studio time. He used his connections to try to help him get on different, features and different shows and tours and things like that. That's the purpose of the production deal. So that way somebody else can come in, an investor can come in, put down or take care of the overhead associated with you building this business. And then from there, once you get signed and they make that connection to the major label, they will then receive back the return on their investment. Now, here's the flip side, right? Because everybody likes to judge Mase. Oh, you only gave him $5,000. First of all, again, it wasn't a record deal. It was a production deal. Yes, he gave him $5,000. But the flip side of it is, if Fivio Foreign never popped, if we, the public, never heard of Fivio, JD, D-Sav, guess what? That's money that Mase lost out of pocket, and nobody would have expected Fivio, JD, and D-Sav to turn around and give Mase his $5,000 back, right? Nobody would have been like, yo, Mase, they ain't pop. They owe you some bread. We wouldn't be out here championing that, right? Because he took a risk with an investment. Listen, was it not the best thing for them? Could it be considered predatory? Possibly. Depends on how you want to view it. That's the nature of the record business. You try to find something that is pretty much buy low, sell high. You try to find something that a lot of people don't see the value in, but you do, and you ride that horse to the finish line. So, shout out to MREC TV, because I went to pull up a clip from an interview that Mase did on MREC TV, and Mase explains there as well. He met Fivio in a group, not as a solo artist. It was Fivio, JD, and D-Sav. He talked about how he was booking, he tried to book shows for them, and they missed the shows, and they were missing flights, so he fell back from constantly using his money and using his connections to book these shows, and his money to fly them out, and his money to record. He was flying them to Atlanta, he was helping them record. Listen, all of those things, all of those costs are very costly, especially for an upcoming artist who does not have himself established with a steady stream of income coming in from his recording career. So when you find something or someone willing to foot the bill for you, nothing in life is free. Of course, on the back end, he's going to try to get his money back. But during that time, when you live in the high life and you're not paying for those flights, you're not paying for those studio sessions, you going to Atlanta, you getting them shows and them looks. Look, where you think the money for that stuff come from? And on top of that, Mase said he took none of this man publishing. Not too many people nowadays is going to do business with an artist with no real buzz and not take their publishing. Had him coming to Atlanta, back and forth from New York to Atlanta, recording. All of those hours that he's putting in, that's helping Fivio find his sound. He ain't just wake up one day, hey. Like he had to be in that studio, putting in that work and finding a sound that would fit for him and to help him grow his career. When Fivio eventually got a deal, Mase said he was able to come to the table and get the amount that was offered to Fivio raised by 5 times the initial offer. Because he was Mase and he had the knowledge and the connections, he was able to get him a better offer than was initially offered to him. He then said he gave Fivio the rights to 100% of his show money, which means he ain't have him in no 360. And once he even got the deal, he let him keep his masters. And he bust down, I guess, whatever the advance was that Mase also received. He busted down with him 50-50, 100% 50% of the advance, he busted right down the middle.
5,000 was a lot.
After picking up
5,000
all of these expenses over the time of him becoming a signed artist, Mase still split the advance money with him. Mase still made sure that he kept his show money. Mase still made sure that he kept his masters.
Right now.
So the people who want to now turn around and demonize Mase, y'all need to understand business. Do people not understand? And that's why I also don't feel bad for Fivio still being in this contract. Fivio, when you signed, you weren't 15, 16, 17. You was 20-something years old. Yeah, your money might not have been right, but you were old enough to know that you needed to have A, a lawyer sign it, and B, when are we going to take accountability for getting involved in business without knowing the business? That's insane.
Damn, hold the fuck up.
That's like jumping into the ocean without knowing how to swim.
I gotta assume you heard now.
Time and time again, we see artists after artists tell their story about how they got robbed and fucked over by the labels. And what do these people do? Turn around and blindly sign deals without having no information about what they're signing, the period of time they're signing for, the obligations involved with what they're signing, or none of that. They just see dollar signs and they jump on it. Then when they start to finally wisen up and the money ain't coming in the way that they thought, or they checking the books and this, and they find out that you spending $3 million here and $2 million here. And if you would have signed a better deal, you might have been able to get more of that money in your pocket. But you didn't do that. You took the fast way out. And I understand, times is hard. Everybody don't have it where they can sit back and wait for the most advantageous deal to come into their life and land on their lap. But when you have people who are doing the right thing by you, you can't turn around and try to demonize those people or misrepresent what that deal really was. And that deal was extremely favorable for him. Listen, know the business that you are doing business. I don't even think that makes sense, but know the business that you're doing. Understand? There's books out here. There's how many artists out here who done told their story again and again about how they got beat in the music industry and how they can avoid it. One of the things that I love and respected about Nipsey Hussle to his dying day is that man took his time, learned the business, and understood the business until he was in a position where he had enough leverage to sign a favorable deal. Should these record labels and people be giving out predatory deals because people don't know better? Of course not. But does that excuse you from being ignorant? No, it does not. And also, I would like to point out, this reminds me of that meme that went around where they were asking people, would you take $250,000 or a dinner with Jay-Z? Right? Because this situation is one of those situations where you have to decide. You can pass up on that $5,000 that Mase was giving you as an advance. But you're also passing up on those connections and those resources that Mase had, which ultimately catapulted you to your deal being so favorable. Now, you could have signed with somebody else who gave you $30,000, $40,000 for your pocket and still be stuck in the hood and blew all that money. But they don't want to talk about that part though, right? No, I don't think they want to talk about that. Shout out to Mase, shout out to MREC TV, and shout out to y'all for sticking with me, man. This might be one of my longest videos. I felt passionate about this rant. King Blake, more content coming for your head top. Listen, if y'all like these rants, like, comment, subscribe. I want to keep the content going. Let's build this thing. Some food for thought, man. Y'all do the dishes. I'm out of here.